who have stewarded this land throughout the gen. You missed my introduction.
Working as fast as I can.
And sitting here with this view that we're seeing, I'm sorry if all of you can't see it, but it's certainly a beautiful land on which we're having this meeting. I'll think we'll start with introductions since we have at least one name on the screen that we don't know and have not yet met, to my knowledge at least. So I will get started, I guess. I'm Linda Corse. I'm chair of this supervisory district. This conservation district, and live out in Whitingham on our organic dairy farm with my husband, farming with my husband, a herdsman, and our daughter. We've been stewarding the land since 1868 out there. My husband's family has. And then I'll turn it to Isabel.
Hi, I'm Isabel Bowman. I'm a conservation specialist with the district. So I covered projects like having to do with water quality, stormwater erosion, stuff like that, invasive plants, and pretty much other things.
Hi, I'm Jeff Dolman. I'm on the supervisory committee. This house is on land that used to be my farm. I used to farm down there till a couple of years ago, where I had a very small herd of beef. And before that, I was in agricultural development in various countries overseas.
I'm Corey Ross, Executive Director for Windham NRCD.
Hi, Olivia. I'm Heather Blunk, the ag specialist for the district.
And Peters.
And why don't we go to Olivia next?
Hello, how's everyone doing? Nice to meet you all. My name's Olivia Carlson, and I am a soil conservationist out of the Rutland Field Office. And I'm going to be doing an acting detail for the district conservationist position while Felixia takes a new position. So happy to meet you all, and thank you for including me on your board meeting.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Peter, you there or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. We'll go to Kat next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kat Abbott, based in Dummerston. I work specifically with grassland birds and farmers and try to find some ways to enhance habitat. And I've been sitting in on board meetings recently to learn more about the work of the Conservation District.
Thanks. Felixia. Although I guess you know all of us and you probably know Olivia, but so maybe just want to say how do.
Absolutely. Yeah, hello, good evening, everyone. Felixia Moore. I'm the Assistant State Conservationist for Field Operations now. Getting used to saying that mouthful. Previous district conservationist for the South Zone. Transitioning that role to Olivia Carlson, who she just stated, will be taking the detail opportunity as the district conservationist for the South Zone, which covers Rutland, Benton, Windham, and Windsor County.
Peter, we're just doing introductions. I don't know if you were on for Olivia's intro, but she's new to NRCS or to her position.
Look like you can
Oh,
hear
you're
it.
talking to me.
Yep, sorry. Yes.
My internet is really sketchy tonight. That's all right. It's all right. You were breaking up. So I'm Peter Van Loan. I'm the Forest Program Director at the Vermont Land Trust and a member of the board. And I've been on for what, 3 or 4 years now, I guess.
I think 4.
Is it 4?
I believe that's everyone. Okay, so just a quick review of the agenda for additions or changes. I would like to add probably towards the end just a brief mention of a letter that we've received. I believe all supervisors in the state of Vermont and various other people have received from White River Conservation District. So we'll just kind of chat about that a little bit. Probably, yeah, down towards the end. I'll say after the minute so that we can make sure we get the business part of the meeting over with. And anyone else have any additions or thoughts on the agenda? Okay. First up on our agenda is NRCS updates. Alexia, and whatever, Olivia, you'd like to add to that, take it away, please.
All right. So good evening again. And as mentioned before, my name is Felixia, serving now in my new role as the Assistant State Conservationist for Field Operations, which is a position that covers the field offices statewide. So as I have previously, and maybe this is just a little bit of history, Kat, I'm not sure how much you may be aware of or have shared. We've been on meetings before, but I started with NRCS Vermont 2018 as a senior soil conservationist in the Northeast Kingdom. Then moving into the district conservationist role about 2 years later. Yep, two and a half years later. And then moving now into the this field operations role now. And so Olivia has been with NRCS for, I guess, 4.5 years now, Olivia?
Yep, that's correct.
Yep, 4.5 years, but coming from the conservation district down in Pennsylvania as well. So she's got some experience. And so she is a senior soil conservationist, and she's had experience throughout the South Zone. So I'm excited about this opportunity for her, joining her into the board meetings with the conservation district so that she gets an idea of how the board meetings are run, and will continue to take on this role after I transition, fully into my new position. And so because we're still part of the transition pieces and wrapping up the end of the fiscal year, as we've kind of talked about previously, I still want to reconnect with you all in regards to what the local fund pool results were in regards to the Windham County one. Since you all had a local fund pool, what were the results? How do we pull through on that? And what it could look like for FY25, in which another proposal was made and approved for the local fund pool for FY25. And so right now we're still wrapping up obligations for FY24, which is why we don't have all of those numbers and results now. But hopefully, at the end of this fiscal year, which ends September 30th, we'll have that information and be ready for your October board meeting to present that information to you. So that's the plan for that. Other than that, just a reminder that tomorrow is our early application consideration cutoff deadline. And I say early is because it's not usually at this stage. And I think that's a little bit different for folks, as we've heard, but we've got a lot that have come in for that timeline, for the deadline. I do want to, and I've just been sharing this with other board members because I think there's been a little bit of confusion, but producers who had applications on file who applied previously and did not get selected for funding of any kind are usually automatically deferred. So a new application is not necessary. They'll receive a deferral letter that says your application has been deferred. And unless you just choose not to move forward with that application or you cancel it yourself, we'll consider you for the next round.
Alexia, how does it work?
Timing is a little bit different. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask how it works if a producer, because do they select which funding pools they're potentially interested in on their when they apply?
Yes, they can. So for like local fund pool folks, if they put on there, they specifically want the local fund pool, then there's usually ranked within that local fund pool if that's they selected. Now,
Right.
if there is no specific request, oh, I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, were you saying something else? I apologize. It sounded like it was breaking up in the middle.
It may have been. My question is then in a subsequent year, if they're automatically deferred into that year, if there's different funding pots available, how is that handled?
Yep. So, unless they specify the specific fund pool, they're automatically entered into fund pools that are applicable to their conservation plan. So the planners work with those producers to rank their applications in all of the applicable funding sources for their best chance of funding.
Thank you.
Yep, sure thing. And so right now, we're working through those applications. Of course, we know that Windham has the Emma crew. So the Emmas are hard at work in assessing and looking at those new applications that are coming in board, as well as applications that came after last fall's time application consideration cutoff, because those are considered for FY25 as well. So following up with those producers to one, confirm their level of interest, and two, if they have not made a site visit for those that are interested, that those site visits are being made during this time frame. Hopefully, the goal is before winter sets in, and some of those things are not able to be fully assessed for resource concerns. So following up on that, and making sure that just touching base, we are communicating with producers the realistic timelines of those things because of the workload that comes in. And so the main goal that I've just told the staff is to make sure that they're communicating so that we can set and manage those expectations and with producers as well, and that they can have a good, healthy work-life balance as well, kind of free. I won't say free, but limited anxiety. We know that anxiety and stress is going to be there, but at least they're able to communicate those things. And we find that as long as we're communicating with the producers and helping them to understand those timelines, we're helping to manage those expectations, and they're usually good about that. And so Heather has been working with Emma on some of those applications, and I think she's been doing a really good job at picking up some things and handling some sensitive challenges as well throughout the process. And I think with some support, we've touched base and are able to push through some things throughout that time frame. So we've got one more that we're trying to wrap up, and hopefully we'll get that squared away next week, and we'll be good to go. Am I tracking there, Heather? We good?
Yep, no, that's fantastic. You're exactly right. Monday, we'll know one way or the other.
Yep, Monday we'll know one way or the other. But I appreciate your tenacity and your patience in learning throughout the process as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Other than that, Corey and I did touch base in regards to the new hires that you all looking to add. And so that has been reviewed. The documents that were presented with the position descriptions and things were reviewed. A few tweaks to the documents that I shared with Corey to kind of help fine tune it, but I think we'll be all set with the space, since the space itself is not changing. But those new hires that will be working on NRCS related work to some percentage of their job descriptions will receive the clearance as well as the equipment. And then those others who will need to be in the office can be submitted as well for clearance.
Great.
I think that's all I have unless there are specific questions. I don't, I can continue to talk, but I don't want to, I want to be mindful of your time.
Thank you. Any questions or other thoughts for Felixia or anything to Olivia?
Olivia, did I miss anything? Anything you'd like for me to add or share?
Just like a reminder for the upcoming trainings that are going to be coming up, like the CPA 52 training.
Excellent. Yep.
And
So CPA 52 training, September the 4th. I think, Heather, you've got that on your radar already. So
Yep, I'll be-
preparing for that.
Sounds so official and scary or something. But I'm sure you're up to-
So that training we're requiring for all of our conservation planners because it involves environmental compliance, NEPA compliance. And so our national regional representative is going to come down and provide that training. And so it'll be an all-day training where we're going through the meaning behind it, outlines of it, what it means, as well as doing some interactive scenarios of completing them and asking the questions together. So looking forward to a very productive and hands-on training.
Is that in person?
Middlebury.
Good.
Yep,
And all-day
Middlebury
train-
in person.
All-day training on Zoom sounds like a nightmare.
That is true.
No, please, no, absolutely not.
Done those.
Yep.
So I guess the last thing is, I'm sure you all are aware of the locally led process, and I'm not sure if you all submitted anything through that RFP or not. So you did, okay. And so recognizing that there will be a training coming up to outline and go through those things. So I have a meeting to follow up with VACD in regards to that as we prepare to provide that training for you all so that you are aware of the deliverables as it relates to that locally led process and your application for the RFP.
Great.
So bring all your questions.
Thank you, Felixia and Olivia.
Thank you.
Please feel free to stay on, but also we won't be insulted if you drop off. Sometimes our meetings aren't that exciting.
I'll stay on as long as I can, but it's bedtime for the kiddos soon. Thank
Yeah.
you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is our annual meeting planning. I believe we're looking at Scott Farm.
Yep, Heather's been doing a bunch of legwork for us on this. I don't know if you want to fill in on what you've learned.
Yeah, so we have locked in Scott Farm on November 14th, which is a Thursday. Their cost is $750. Through them, we get tables, chairs, cutlery, dishes. We get to use their kitchen. We are going to have a cash bar, so that's at no cost to the district, with beer, wine, and cider.
Yeah.
And then I've been speaking with the Porch for catering. I was hoping to have something more solidified by today. Unfortunately, it's a busy time of year for them, so I think it's gonna move slowly. We're looking at, if we go with the Porch, it will most likely be $3,000. Our target attendees is 100 people. And so what I'm speaking with the Porch about is doing like a appetizer meal. So that means they have a charcuterie table, barbecue pulled pork sliders, mini eggplant pizza, jumbo shrimp cocktail, sweet potato, caramelized onion, arugula quesadilla. And then I asked them if is that too little food, too much? I'm hoping they'll fill it out for us, if need be. So what we don't have and what we need, are tablecloths. We'll need 10, so they're circular tables, decently big. They fit 8 to 10 people, I think. So we need 10 tablecloths or 10 creative ideas to cover these tables.
That's exactly,
That's
because I was like, there are companies that rent this, and Heather's like, I'm guessing that we'll be able to come up with that.
I probably have 20.
Wow, I won. I contribute. So check, Linda,
I'll
love
check
it.
the sizes.
Do you
pretty
have
sure.
100 napkins? I think for the napkins,
I might have 25 or 30 napkins. I don't,
I have
cloth
4.
napkins. I don't know that I have 100.
I think I've done 100 paper now.
Oh, yeah, me
Okay.
too. Well, we do in the closet.
yeah.
Yeah,
Cloth
we can
napkins.
tell that the napkins. one
That's
way
what
or
I was
the
saying. They make like nice, like
other. I'll count my napkins.
paper towel-y, or not, but like, you know, fluffy
You know, you can
disposable
use handkerchiefs
napkins.
too,
There you go. Okay, so we'll buy.
washed.
No, just throw it up.
So we'll buy those. We need, or we would like to have music playing like we did last year. So, if anybody has any ideas or connections.
The only thought I had on that, and I can't remember when it happened last year, but, are you thinking something kind of background soft while we're eating, or?
Eating and chatting and socializing, yeah.
Because a lot of times with these meetings, they have the music so loud that the chatting is somewhat
Yeah,
challenging, but, so if that could just be conveyed to the others.
yeah. And that's a good point about like the genre, what it needs to be.
Last year, what I thought was the sort of country music is probably widely probably most popular, generally popular.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good music. I just couldn't remember if it was while people were trying to talk and whether it
It was a
kind
little
of
loud at
cut down
times.
on the
And that was,
ability to
Well,
chat.
the location too. Scott.
it was pretty small. Yeah, this is gonna be big. They have a spot that they put them and it's in the back corner. So hopefully just that will help
That's
disperse the
fine.
music a bit more. But yeah, we'll definitely talk to the musician beforehand.
Okay.
We also need, Wardy. Is that, do we give award?
Call that award the conservations of the year. I don't remember what we call it. Nick might remember who's walking out. But, last year we gave it to Stu, yeah. So one idea that was thrown out was,
Beanie, hush boy.
somebody else, yeah, threw
Just
Adam.
remember this is being recorded.
Oh, right. Do we not talk about this in open session?
Well, it depends on whether you want it to be a surprise for them or not.
Right,
Well, we would hope that they attend, so that it might be awkward if they don't attend.
right. It won't be a surprise at that point, but.
Right. I mean, that's fine.
Okay.
I don't really think Drew's gonna
I don't think he's gonna.
watch
realize
this recording.
Can almost
You never
guarantee
know who would have interest.
And the other idea was Jolene Hamilton was thrown out. And so, and I'm open to lots of ideas.
Yep.
So just something to think about. I think, so typically I like to start advertising a month before. I don't know if we want to do like beginning of, oh, that's like a week.
Yeah, I think
I mean, October, beginning of October.
I would like to get it going before that if we can.
Okay.
Because our target's so many more people. Last year we had 30,
Yeah.
35. That's a big jump.
Yeah,
But last year we advertised it at the very last minute because it took us that long to get the details.
Yeah.
So I'm very hopeful that we'll get that turnout.
But on the other hand, we had very good feedback from it,
oh, yeah.
which means the people that went last time are. Who'd
Oh,
you end
yeah.
up with for your talk? This is gonna be the.
No,
have-
so that's the next thing is we need a keynote speaker. I am pitching Layla Phillips, who wrote Beaverland. She was recently on a press tour around New England. She's been speaking at nature museums. She was right over the border in Peterborough. So I don't think coming to Brattleboro is a stretch by any means. Her website does not have pricing, which means it's either free or very expensive. But I was gonna see if people like that idea, have other keynote speaker ideas.
Whoops.
Super weird.
Oh, it got unplugged, I bet.
Did I bump it?
Yep, we're trying.
We had we had her do an event for us, Heather.
Yeah, maybe that's what I saw.
Maybe they can't hear.
No,
We can hear you.
Can you hear us?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you want, I can inquire with the woman who set that up and see what it cost.
Was she good as a speaker?
She was great. It was very well received. Yeah.
We're having technical difficulties with our visual, so
But if you can hear us.
if you
I
can
think
hear
we
us,
keep
we'll
rolling.
keep moving.
So yeah, Peter, if you wouldn't mind, that would be fantastic. Unless, if anybody else has any other ideas.
Patty Smith is very entertaining.
Patty Smith?
But she did do a talk recently for Audubon, which is local.
Oh,
It wasn't that long ago.
Right.
She's wonderful. I
can
mean,
see
I
it.
agree with you. She makes
Good.
a very good talk, but she did a local one in the last few months, so
Okay,
maybe next year.
okay.
Exceed your vision, all right.
Who was that you were talking about, Meg? Sorry, it was breaking up. I couldn't hear you.
Jeff said Patty Smith is good. And I
Oh.
said, she does a great talk, but she just did one for Audubon just a couple months back.
Right.
So, and that's, the sort of pretty local.
Yeah.
If the person's a draw, it will help us get folks to come to this.
Right.
I don't know. And then the other day that we were just throwing out the other day was like, if we get this person, could we set up a stream table and like kind of make it a themed evening in that regard?
I think that would be great.
I guess the only thought or whatever is if we don't get 100 people, that's kind of an expensive evening for 30.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then the other thing we wanted to talk about, and I was definitely looking for input on this, is we'd like to either request donations or provide like a sliding scale. Like, we don't want anyone to not come because they can't afford it. Because I think one great thing about last year's annual meeting was that there were a lot of folks there that, didn't look like that they were going to drop $100. They weren't probably going to do that.
Right.
We want those people coming, but also we'd love to offset the cost a little bit because I've got us at about $4,000.
It was that much?
Between food and the space.
Yeah, the Scott Farm is 750 and food will most likely be around 3,000. Hopefully a little cheaper.
If we do the
If we do the porch, we're not locked in.
How much did, well, we did
Tito's?
Tito's last
that
time?
was like $700.
Yeah, that's
was-
a
For 30.
big difference.
It's a big difference.
For
It's
30 people,
yeah.
yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, it'd be a lot more for.
So at least 1,400 for 60.
Yeah. My hope is that by making the event more appealing,
Mhm.
that maybe, I'd love to build this into a thing where folks look forward to it every year. They always
Yeah.
come to it. Cheshire does this with their annual meeting. And theirs it's $50 a person. And I don't actually know that I would want to get to that because I think you're going to exclude people who otherwise would like to come.
Yeah.
But they do call that friend raising. It's not a fundraising event for them. It is a friend raising. That's how they get connections.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Amanda said, she's like, we break even on the event.
yeah,
Because they go all out on food. And
Yeah.
the whole thing. So that's a long-term goal to me is like, let's make this into a big deal. But like, obviously we've got to take.
Does she have any ideas for really great speakers?
She'd be a good person to ask.
Yep.
Yeah. She knows a lot of folks in the area.
Just in case. I mean, I think the Beaver thing sounds great, honestly, but
But yeah, we definitely need more than one idea because.
Mhm.
things don't always work.
Yeah.
Wrong date, too much cost, whatever.
Yeah, I do want to make it accessible.
Mhm.
So I think there's some way to do it that no one has to necessarily.
Well,
pay.
you just put out a donation thing that they can't miss seeing on their way in and.
Well, what I was wondering is when we ask, because we will make them register, so we
Mhm.
can manage capacity. Do we set it? I can set it up on our website where there's a payment page, and there can be like when you registered for the NOFA Pizza Social,
Mhm.
it was like sliding scale for accessibility. How much would you like to pay?
Yeah.
I just want to be careful about the language.
Right,
Some people might be bashful about not paying, and so therefore not come.
right.
But
Yeah,
there-
that's what,
there are a lot of great organizations who do this already. Susu is one, and they have a great of like historically underserved populations. We recommend paying
does
X
that.
amount. Yeah, if you have X number of people in your household or own a house, we recommend X amount. So maybe we can mimic.
Yeah, maybe you and I could put together some language and we'll
Yeah.
send it around
Yeah.
to get input
because
on.
I know there was at least one couple there, I believe, that had like 3 or 4 kids.
Mhm.
and-
Yep.
Yes, I remember them. They were bouncing around quite a lot.
That's
I
great.
mean,
though.
we want to be
Yeah.
open
Oh,
to
wasn't a complaint. It was,
everyone. Could be the next conservationist year,
Mhm.
5 years old or something.
and the other thing you could do, we've never charged for this before in any way, shape or form.
Mhm.
So you could start the first year with donations are welcome.
Yeah.
And
Pay as you can or.
pay as you
Mhm.
can,
Yep.
and then maybe the next year go to
Sure,
$5.
recommended.
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
To kind of get people used to the idea that they might have to ante up something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The other thing Cheshire does that I don't know if we would be able to get figured out between now and then, but they do a silent auction. And that they do actually raise quite a bit, and they raise money specifically for their, what they call their scholarship.
Oh, the
Scholarship there.
Monadnock.
Yeah,
Uh,
their
Yeah.
grant fund for conservation in the.
Yeah.
Which is another dream of mine, is to get that
Mhm.
going. I'm not good at walking into businesses and saying like, what would you be prepared to donate at our event? But I guess maybe that's what we just need to do.
Well, but if you wanted to do a silent auction, even if you just had a few things, again, the first time, you know, a lot of places like,
A horseback riding experience with Meg.
yes, I
A
would do
milk
that.
Would you?
from the
Of
farm.
course I would.
That would go very well.
Like, no.
I wouldn't be surprised if,
No
well,
offense,
it-
I don't milk with anyone but
it
myself.
used to be Agway, it's now Blue Seal. I wouldn't be surprised. They've often
do a
been able
tour
to
for that.
donate like a,
Agway has a new name.
yes, they've been bought by Blue Seal.
Oh, wow.
So all the Achille Agways, oh, that was in your, I meant to mention it because it was in your report.
Yeah.
Oh,
It said something about,
Achille Agway.
yes, well, it's not anymore.
Oh, good, okay.
And actually, I think this may be a good thing, because
Okay.
We
when
are
it-
being recorded.
when
just
it,
you were not here.
there was a
I
real
think we are.
change with a generational change in management.
Mhm.
Happens.
So anyway, but Gary's still the manager, and they've usually been willing to donate like a $50 or $100 gift certificate. I don't know if there's a new policy under the new company, but that would certainly be worth checking.
Okay.
Maybe Peter comes to your property and points out all the invasives.
Where is Peter? Did we lose Peter?
Oh, we lost Peter.
Bummer.
Okay, it's recorded.
We'll email him.
Now society for
Yeah, we're doing
volunteering.
this.
Yeah, best time to volunteer
Yes.
someone is when they're not there to say.
That's right. You know,
He said his internet.
it doesn't have to be a ginormous thing to
Mhm.
have, start with a small one, with things that don't cost you much. And again, you know, you can build it up, and if we have the speaker, she might donate a copy of her book.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Sometimes they'll do that. Uh, you know, we could think about, I bet if we wrapped our head around it, we could come up with a few other things.
Okay.
Back to speakers. I have no ideas myself, but I just wonder, is there anyone we could do to sort of promote our sort of DEI,
Mm,
you know, talking about
Yeah,
Native American practices or something, I don't know.
yeah. I know Rich Holshoe, we've worked with him a few times. He is I forget his proper title, but he is the representative for the local tribe. And then I also recently spoke with, I'm not gonna remember his name, the chief of Vermont,
Oh,
for the Abenaki.
okay.
Oh, no, that was September that he was busy.
Ally Lewis.
Yeah.
With the ACD. Does a nice job with that.
Yeah, she does.
Oh, yeah.
Had a display at the annual meeting last year.
But she didn't do a talk, right? She just had I mean, the display was cool.
Right, but I'm guessing she could do something.
Yeah, I know she does a lot with her.
And maybe
time.
I mean, you could have a featured speaker, and then you could have a display and her doing a short thing about,
I mean,
That would be cool.
I don't know just where she lives, so
I think up north. So, we'd at
of
least-
course, up north.
yeah,
We'd at least have. to
I know
cover our
that.
travel.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe we make a donation to her tribe. Is that the right word for what she's part of?
Yeah, I think, yeah, her tribe. And she's
She could
great.
just bring her kid. It's really cute.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's really fun.
Many Zooms with them.
Okay.
So I think that is everything on our to-do list. So, yeah, maybe, our next, next board meeting, we button up everything out, like,
Yeah, I think we put up publicity before then, though. Even if we have to nail down some details, like being able to tell the general public. I mean, I noticed you put out a save the date.
yeah,
which
we can
is
do a
great.
save the date.
Save
Yeah,
the
like you
date.
did. Yeah,
But we could open registration.
yeah.
Say like, we don't know every single detail, but.
Yeah. Save the date. And then once we lock down keynote speaker,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we need a keynote speaker to like have the draw.
Yeah.
That feels to me.
but
like
you're
the
right,
thing that
save
needs
the
to be
dates
done.
can definitely happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other must-haves that you all wanted to make sure we had again, or thought of a cool idea?
Require a chocolate fountain.
Oh, yes. chocolate fountain.
Chocolate fountain, what?
Just a chocolate fountain.
Didn't Cheshire do a chocolate fountain one year? I thought I remember Amanda
Oh, I
saying
don't
that, yeah.
know. I used to have a fondue machine. That is something though, thank you. We don't have desserts, but you all fantastic board
Yeah.
members came through last year and baked. Maybe we'll do that again.
Baking I can do. I actually have an oven that works now.
Woo! It's good.
Are we really thinking 100?
I think it's doable, I
It's
really do.
gonna happen. I'm not thinking I know.
I think having it at Scott Farm, I think advertising it far enough out in advance. And for me, the porch idea, I went to the Windham Regional Commission, had a meeting in the spring where it was catered by, it was just what they called heavy hors d'oeuvres from the porch.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. The food was
Well, they do
delicious.
a very nice job,
Yeah, yep. And I
but
thought-
it's not
it
super
looks,
cheap.
no, it looks very professional though, like,
It is.
And
Mhm.
I think the biggest thing about this is it's saving, like, yes, this cost is big. However, I am not washing dishes after this event. I am not, you
right.
can I'll wash your tablecloths. But we're not,
If the weather would ever
will-
cooperate, I could wash my table.
Sure. they are gonna come in, set up, take away. Well, like, we might have to take away, but it's like disposable.
Right.
But either way, we're not coordinating with Mary to go and get the
Yeah.
food and set up in the middle of a tour. Oh, that's the other
Please
thing.
not plastic though,
Yes, yeah, the porch. will
or
probably be good.
limited as
Yeah.
much as possible.
For our pre-dinner event, we're gonna go check out the stairs, correct?
And timber infiltration steps and the swales at the Demerson Covered Bridge, because it's pretty quick from Scott Farm
Yeah.
over there.
Cool.
And I thought, especially, I mean, I don't know how many people will come to that, but hopefully our legislative delegation will come and go see an example of our work, because it's very eye-catching.
Okay,
Peter's back.
I don't want to cut it off, but we do
Please
have
do.
other items on our agenda. So the next is our fiscal year 25 work plans and budget revisions. I got tired just reading that.
I had the same, it's like, oh my God, I forget just how crazy busy these people are. So
Um,
yay, you all.
So, yeah, I
Yay for
presented
doing them.
this overview. It's like, I've started calling it, it's not really a work plan, but it's this capacity planning document that shows all of our grants or tasks.
Yep.
And then it shows, each of the positions, executive director, conservation specialist, lead ARS, invasive species technician, and graders. And designates hours across all of them, so you can sort of see the
Mhm.
breakdown of who does what. That has been updated because it was a bit of a draft the last time you saw it. It will remain a living, breathing document because we will get grants and we will close other ones out unexpectedly, and this can never be as much of an exact science as I wish it could. And then the staff and I all put together work plans. Each person wrote their own, and then we like
Yeah, I
went back and forth.
Very impressed by them.
Are there any questions about, I mean, I'm not gonna go through them.
No,
They take a while.
no, you'd wear us out just hearing all about it.
So just a question, if there were, you know who else is on here, right? If there were,
Yeah.
right, you have,
Those are the people.
if there's someone that doesn't have this document in front of them,
Oh,
is
do you want
that
me to-
on our, I don't think we need it up there, but
So I did put it in the chat, the
Okay.
whole board packet. It's
so
right here.
they can access it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just, this is a learning thing to some extent with this needing to record and all that, and just trying to make sure everything is accessible to those who need it. I was just trying to remember if I had questions. I think this is all on the GM report. I
Okay.
actually read it this afternoon when I had time to make that, so.
The
I
only,
Go ahead, Peter.
but the only question I had was, it was interesting to look at all three. And I was particularly interested in Heather's, which was broken out by the month, and it made me wonder whether what the sort of the flow of the work is like, and whether this planning opportunity gave you a chance to sort of look at where pinch points might be and where there might be overcapacity or extra capacity over the course of a year. Are you able to do that when you're working on grant stuff like that?
I mean, I'm certainly using it when I'm considering grant proposals and what we can realistically take on and what time frame I might say we can, we're getting a lot of requests for assistance with projects, and I'm learning to start to provide people with more realistic answers about when I might actually be able to be of use to them. So in that way, I think, yes. I'd be curious, yeah, from both of your perspectives.
Yeah, this was a really great exercise. It was the first time I thought about my year and when things happen. So it was really interesting to see that. It was also very helpful. Emma Keister with NRCS helped me with the NRCS dates. And so that was helpful for me to go ahead and think that through. So yeah, so this was, yeah, a good exercise for me, and seeing what my months look like. Your year, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I definitely see it's almost like things turn off and then on. So it's
Mhm.
like, here's all the seasonal stuff, here's the background continual things. So it is good to see, like right now, I feel like all I'm doing is invasives, but I know I'm doing more than
Right.
that when I stare at this. plan. So it is nice to have that, sort of see where the next steps will be.
This is a required deliverable under our core services agreement with NRCC. It doesn't necessarily need to look quite as detailed as what we're gonna give them, but I felt like if we were gonna do it, let's make it an actually useful document for
Yep.
us.
No, I thought it was clear and helpful. Few more acronyms I had to look up or remember, but other than that, like,
It's so hard. I try not to use them, but they just flow out of your brain.
Yeah.
well, you use them every day. It's hard to stop using them.
Speaking of that, this is a little off topic, but does this get updated?
Not very often. It probably could use an intentional relook to see what's still relevant or what might is missing.
You know, when you have a spare moment.
Not long enough.
Maybe they're
You
still
might be able
making
to
a
drop
demo.
a few, yeah.
I'd offer to do it if, no, what am I saying? I'm not offering to do anything else. I think I have my hand. Any questions from anyone on this, besides those that have been asked?
No, I thought it was helpful and well organized and clear and impressive,
Just don't ask me to repeat it or
Oh, dear God.
know just what was in here.
And then there is a revised.
Obviously, there were things that I was familiar that it's not like it was all gibberish and I didn't have a clue what you're doing, but.
And on page 14, there is a revised budget, which was the other part of that bullet. There's a revised budget. I think it probably would be appropriate to have it, is approved the right word for a budget? It's supposed to be accepted.
Acceptable.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop saying I know what I'm talking about.
On a column beside this year's, is that?
I have that. Yep. Because so this has been approved once already back in May.
Oh, okay.
And that one had last year's and this year's side by side.
Right, okay.
This one, I tried to put a note anywhere there was a change, so you could see, and the changes were mostly because we got new grants. Or we received further details on things that helped us better understand. For example, the Yellow Brook, that project went back on hold, I took all that out. The stilt grass, I had the indirect amount. I had the amount going to Essex NRCD wrong and got that straightened out. So that's been updated. The locally led conservation work is a new award. The Watersheds United Vermont Workforce Capacity Development Grant is a new award. And I found out the details of when we'll see the money, so that made that.
Which one was that?
That's on the second, on page 15, Watersheds United Vermont Workforce Capacity Development Grant. Love is gonna give us 90% of the payment upfront.
Less than,
Yep, and they were smart enough to see that this is supposed to grow your organization's capacity, and asking you to make all these investments and get paid back later is gonna do the opposite.
Yep. Hallelujah.
They did say, and I put this in my report, but there's a clawback provision. So like if we fail to spend it, we have to actually get it back. And they said, if this represents an unreasonable risk for your organization, don't take it. But I don't think that's for us. Oh, and this is proposed. Under salaries and wages, I put in, adding a half-time administrative assistant that would start in January. We can look at a position description and talk more about what that would look like at a future meeting, but just I'll throw it out there. I think in looking at my work plan, it would improve my efficiency a great deal. I can take some of the processing plant sale orders and entering bills and invoices into QuickBooks. And
Mhm.
these are the tasks we could teach a lot of folks to do. The two things related to Ellis were taken out under expenses, under consulting and construction. And the cash match for the AmeriCorps was a little bit less than I thought it was gonna be. Oh, the truck did not change. I should have deleted the note, but that was for the idea of leasing a vehicle. And the contribute to savings was because we had more money than we did before. Maybe we'll spend it on something at some point, but for the moment, I thought savings was a good spot to stick it.
Can we put it someplace where it'll actually earn something?
That's a great idea. Yeah. I think we need an investment policy.
Just even for a high yield savings. account? It's not investing, it's just 4%
That's a
back.
good question. Many districts have an investment policy.
I don't have any idea, but
Well, I mean, certainly we could talk to, like, I mean, I use one of the E.D. Jones guys who I've been very happy with, and just say, you know, as a, given our status, what can we do?
Yep.
But if it was getting, 5 or 6% instead of 0 or 1, that would be a good thing.
We get like, I don't know, less than a 10% right now.
Yeah,
It's
right.
Unbelievable.
So it's
Um,
insanely low.
so I would just suggest checking with those districts that have them, maybe ask them for theirs as a template. Also ask them where they, as much as they're willing to share, well, it's gotta be shared in the public.
Yeah.
So where they have their funds, whether they're going somewhere locally or. I mean, we've got some Capital One account that I did online. I've never seen. I mean, I assume the money's there. I'm told the money's wherever I sent it, but.
This is sort of related, but I guess I didn't put it on the agenda, but I'll just bring it up in case anyone has any ideas. I think we need a credit card. I think so that I'm not getting reimbursed just continuously, which is
I think
become a
that
bit of a
makes
drain
a
on me.
lot of sense.
I went to Brattleboro Savings and Loan and asked them, and they were like, "Oh, it's on our website. We use a third party." I started to fill out the application, and on about page 4, it wanted my social. It said that it was going to want a credit check on me. I would rather not have a credit card associated with my own personal credit for the
Right.
district. So does anyone know how one goes about getting something like that for you? Because like our organization doesn't have credit, right?
Right.
We don't borrow money.
I, again, would check with other districts or Jill, because I believe VACD, or she has one now that she can use for VACD.
So somehow they got one.
Yeah,
Okay. Because some districts do a debit card, and I really am uncomfortable with that idea because stuff can go very, very wrong with a debit card.
And you have no
Oh, that-
protection if you do with a credit card.
Yep.
I wouldn't go there
Yeah, I agree.
personally,
Really?
my husband went
because-
there and I wish he hadn't.
because if you
have
know,
a recurring charge on
somebody
the statement.
starts using it or something,
I can't remember.
they don't protect you. A
The money's
credit
gone.
card company is going to, they're gonna look after you in a way that the debit card people, nope.
And
nope,
you
nope,
have the
nope.
option of disputing a charge on your credit card.
Mhm.
You don't have a debit card, it's gone. It's just like going to the ATM.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're
Right.
losing $20 a month because I don't remember to call the company and they get me off that, whatever it is.
So I'll ask Jill, that's a good idea, because Claire's still not back, and she's always my go-to for all this stuff. I've been struggling to.
But lots of organizations have people who have credit cards and lots of them are nonprofits. So there's obviously a way to do this.
We're not, yeah, I mean. It would, yeah, I don't know if it's different because VACD is a
Yeah.
nonprofit, we're not.
Yeah, we're not a
We're a
501c3,
government.
But we can
entity.
find out.
but we are a not-for-profit.
Mhm.
We're just not a non-profit.
Yeah.
Okay, I will do some checking.
But yes, I think it's absurd that you have to keep
Yeah.
having this mixed up with your own.
Yeah.
No, that's not right.
Nope. On multiple fronts.
Yeah.
Protect us, protect you.
Exactly.
All that stuff.
Okay, any questions? On the work plans or the budget revision, and you were asking, I don't think it hurts to have an acceptance of the revised budget just to keep us current with that, if someone wants to make that motion.
I move-
Accept the revised budget.
Have a motion from Jeff.
Second.
Second from Meg. Any further questions or discussions on this?
Olivia is jumping off the call. She'll put it in the chat.
Hi, Olivia. Thanks for coming, Olivia. We'll see you again.
Thank you for having me.
Have a good rest of your evening.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye,
Thank you.
Alexia.
Bye.
Peter and Kat, are you able
Let's
to?
see ya.
Okay, good. That's just what I wanted to make sure.
Okay, all those in favor, if I haven't already said that,
Bye.
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 thank you. Definitely.
It was a long time since we had a talking horse. It's been kind of, it was a long time since lunch, eating all your chips.
Okay, sorry, that's why I had to move the chips.
That's what they're there for.
Not supposed to talk with my mouth. All right, update on ag resource specialist hiring process.
So thank you to Heather and Linda and Meg and Jeff for joining the interviews. We had first interviews with 4 candidates. We chose to advance 3 of those to a second round of interviews. We interviewed one Monday. We're interviewing another one tomorrow at 10:30. And then there's a third one we're trying to get in for an interview. I had emailed yesterday about August 30th. If I know, Peter, you said that doesn't work for you, but if everyone else is able, hold that. He is gonna let me know. At first he was like, great, I can't wait. And then he emailed me this afternoon and said, well, now I might have to be in the field again. I will let you know very soon. So, I think the debate we're
Shows he
having
has
is,
commitment to his current job at
Sure.
least.
do we want to Zoom with him if, like, I guess my questions are, do we want to Zoom with him as opposed to meet him in person if he can't come? And is there an end date? Like, how long are we willing to wait for his availability?
Well, the 30th is right before a long weekend.
Right.
We're not gonna do anything over the long weekend. If we can't get him by right after the long weekend, I would say we do a Zoom.
Okay.
Would be my thought.
Yep. But I'm confused. We've already interviewed 3.
We did 3 Zoom
We have
interviews.
another new,
We interviewed 4 people
Oh,
for
right.
that first round.
Right.
And we advanced
Oh, right, 'cause
3
I
of them. You didn't get to meet Jack, though. Sorry, you didn't get to meet one of the applicants. And that's the one that we're trying to work out the time.
Yep.
Yep.
okay.
So does this mean that May's not moving forward?
Whoop,
Nope.
Oh, sorry.
We did not make any decisions
April,
about that.
June, July, they're not
August,
moving
September.
forward. That's fine. It's.
We did not, no, we did not make any decisions about any of the second round
Okay,
applicants.
I just feel like that's a very long time. So-
It is.
But yeah,
I'll communicate with people who have already interviewed to let them know. our
Yeah, I
timeline.
forget about that aspect, that while we're
Yeah.
doing, they're waiting to see, and they may drop off.
And honestly, for a lot of jobs, this is not a very long time.
that's true.
I mean, prompt is wonderful.
Yeah.
And if I were them, I'd be like, but having to wait a couple of weeks is not all that unusual, honestly, just because we've usually been able to do better.
You're right. And especially with state government like jobs, and this is like that.
And it'll be 60 months before they can get approved.
Yeah.
Um,
So does that seem reasonable to people? Which, I mean, we're gonna lose that long weekend anyway.
I keep trying to make it clear, though, the following weekend is gonna be a long weekend for me, and I am not available on the Friday or Monday.
Great.
To anyone, except my husband, and going somewhere.
Good for you.
I'm gonna go hide somewhere. You're gonna shut my phone off?
Stop bragging.
Okay. So is there anything else on that?
No.
Wow, that was a quick one. Okay. DEI self-assessment session. I should ask, is everyone good going to, I'm gonna say it might be 8:45 or something.
What time is that?
Wow, we are
No,
right
the-
on
7:29.
schedule, and I brought my timer back.
Oh,
We're gonna
good.
stay on schedule.
Okay.
I think we're gonna be ahead of schedule after this too. It's gonna be so fast, actually. But
All right, great. I don't want to rush it.
no. So fortunately, we only have 2 more sections of this survey to do. I don't think they're gonna be horrendous.
Spring.
Question,
yeah.
do I need to also share screen? So that-
Yes.
Yes.
'Cause they can't see it right now.
I can't see my movement controls anymore, so. Oh, boy.
Yep, you were on the right down.
Yep, the
Really?
purple
Yep.
line, yep.
This is
spring.
the spring DEI.
But it's over
You have to
here.
distract.
Okay.
So you can put in my email again. If you want, for the minutes, should I? Put this, yeah, I should do some minutes. I think just record if we come across anything that's like, oh, we need to, like, having a workshop on this idea, or let's look into reading this book, or like something like, an action item, that's the word. Okay. All right, so we've already done this one, so I think we can go to the next page. Yeah, I'm yep, we've already done this one.
House and home.
Wow.
I'm doing most.
All right, so yeah, the trainings one, it recommended that we read page 13. This is what page 13 said. Trainings to ensure that your district can purposefully embody the tenets of DEI. It is imperative to pursue educational opportunities that staff and board members can participate in. Organized trainings are one of the most effective ways to internalize and reinforce ideas and values of inclusivity and self-awareness. Typically, training should happen on a recurring basis to account for attrition and to allow for knowledge building as staff and board members learn new concepts. In addition to holding trainings, districts should focus on incorporating lessons learned into their work to see operational/cultural outcomes. Any training the district participate in should be facilitated by outside organization, partner, or qualified conservation district staff. The graphic below that you can't see, it just like went over all the trainings that the districts had participated at this time, which is 2 years ago at this point.
Yeah. Did either of you wouldn't have been here, right?
No.
You didn't get to those either, or you did?
The training,
Yeah.
I never,
I don't imagine it would benefit because it was provided to you. I think it was just for DMs. So
Okay.
I have been through this training.
okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, that's what they're referring to. We had, yeah.
Yeah.
When this whole initiative started, there was a series of trainings for district managers.
Okay.
Does anything that we take through NRCS?
Yes, that counts.
Okay.
Yep. So stuff like that. So that was just what they suggested we read beforehand. All right. Introductory to DEI training.
Well, so that's the training you
no,
took.
Number
Cory?
3, right?
I guess.
so.
We had this training with less than 75%.
Well, at that point, it was 100% of our staff. Because he was in,
That's true.
but, because he took it a couple of years ago before we had all
Yeah.
the lovely new folks.
If the goal is to identify needs for growth, though,
Yeah. I feel like, 3 is.
but you're saying the NRCS training doesn't count.
Not
No.
that one.
Unfortunately, our DEI meetings have been pushed off this summer. So I haven't been able to ask these questions.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hold back on answering if people don't feel comfortable, or
You'd be comfortable with me.
Oh, yeah.
Not saying
Yeah,
that we need.
Yeah.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay.
So DEI related community outreach training. I don't think I've taken any.
The lunch and learn with the VAWQP, and you go to that Josh's last
I remember that.
event.
I didn't go to that. Did you go?
I did go to that one.
Nice.
Thank you for.
But I think that's the only one I've done.
So that's still something.
Okay.
Community needs assessment training, not an assessment training.
Nobody?
Well, it's not the same as the various community needs activities that we run to try to broaden that information,
Right.
but we do that.
We do a
So
number of tasks.
We know,
first.
yes, so I don't know enough about, well, when these names come up, are they specific training opportunities? Are they categories? Do we know?
I think in my mind, I read them as categories. I don't think that they were specific trainings that I know that these have not been put on recently
Mhm.
and that we've missed them. I know that
Yeah.
is not the case.
Okay,
How I interpret this is like, has any of us sought out these trainings on our own or something like that?
I talk to Abby all the time.
Yeah. The training
I
within
mean,
itself.
possibly under the comments, we might say that we run a number of community needs assessment processes, which we have certainly tried to make sure are open to many.
Yeah.
But that's not the same as taking a training. It's something we do
We do it.
reaching out, not that is poured into us.
Right, and is that community needs in terms of what they need for natural resource help, or is that community needs assessment for what do people out there need in general? You know, are they food insecure? So
Yeah.
that would be something.
And again, it's not clear to me exactly
Right.
what fits.
Yeah.
What are they actually asking us?
Are you
Hard to
comfortable?
answer the question if you don't understand what it means,
That is
Definitely.
or you don't know what it
gonna
really
say, I
means.
did one with the, or I might remember, it was Noah, was it Noah?
Yeah, you did go to that.
And I think you went to that one too, a long time ago.
That qualifies community needs assessment?
Well, one of the sections, at least that we had, was in order to like prepare your project, because it was all about like, how do you approach starting a project and like actually getting it done? And one of the sections was community needs assessment,
So it was a little bit different. than
but it was
assessment I
not
went to.
DEI
Right.
focused. It was just a general, like what it was saying, like, are you food insecure or do you
Yeah.
need these things? So I don't know.
But I mean, I think I would say that counts as your community. It's different than every.
Peter, are you able to hear us okay?
Yeah, it still breaks up occasionally, but I'm probably getting 80% or more of it.
I also meant to do with the volume of our voices and stuff, so I just
Oh,
wanted.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's just my internet that's the problem.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are you fine with me adding that question? Because I did wonder, like Heather and I are going to training September 17th as part of the locally led
Yeah.
process.
The only thing I would say is that question sounds like, have we checked off the box? As opposed to, would locally led training fall into this category? Or something where it's not like, we're just trying to check the box.
Got it.
Right.
in this day and age, it almost seems like almost any training should have some aspect of DEI covered in it.
So 0 or 3, depending on Isabel, what you think of the training you went to.
Say zero, so
Okay.
DEI focus.
Unconscious bias training.
Didn't
I
we?
had that training.
NRCS.
Yeah.
And didn't we, that was covered
Oh, that's so
with
great.
the video,
Mhm.
the lady on the
Yep.
video,
Yep.
right?
We're 7, right?
Yeah.
For us.
Inclusive decision-making training.
No,
Cultural awareness training.
I had this.
Yeah.
Been a couple of years.
I'm not confident, so I'm not gonna say.
I think that the April habit building thing that we've done
Oh,
might,
that, yeah.
I don't know if that's not a training, but I mean, like, it's a lot of work and like reading.
Well, the goal of it is to train.
That's
like, the
true.
Goal is
Yeah.
to build a habit, so that's why they're here for this.
Yeah.
21 days.
Um,
I'm impressed.
so.
Oh, is that the one you tried to get us to do?
yeah, I send it around every year.
Yep.
Highly recommend.
Yeah.
So number 3?
Is that what we think?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Does it, you just said it involved 21 days?
It's 21 days, but it's like, it's just like every morning they send you, it's like, this is today's theme. Here's a few articles, a few video clips. And it's just like they go into detail. It's New England based. But like they go through the history and like food security and foraging and just stuff that you don't always think is connected to food systems.
I have a hard time remembering to take my medicine every day.
Well, that's why it's 21 days, because that's how long it takes to build a habit, allegedly.
Yes, my husband told me that. That's how he got himself to, no, never mind, this is.
Indigenous. Leon's gonna watch.
What's to do with his teeth? Anyway.
Indigenous land history training. Again, nothing proper. That I've done.
It's interesting that this page doesn't ask staff and supervisors. It's a different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Learning
Not that,
about
Peter, so
This kind of looks
Probably
like
the land
it's
trust has done
focused
some of
on
this.
staff.
learning about racism, anti-racism, and microaggression training. Yeah.
We did it in NRCS.
Yep. Ableism, disability training. Yes. Yes, thing again, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've had bystander intervention training.
Oh, is that like you see something wrong and then you
Yeah.
See
that
something, say
was
something.
actually in our 21 day thing, but
Mhm.
that wasn't a training, that was one video.
Yeah.
So I think
So if you have course, then maybe just 3.
I actually had a chance to do that, nothing to do with DI necessarily, but I was driving into a parking lot and saw a man like yelling at an older woman because she evidently had pulled out right in front of him, and I regretted that I didn't go over and just kind of say, everything okay here? Because he was being extremely aggressive.
Other trainings, please describe below and include the number of points associated for each training using the scale below.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and
That
some
would
of
be
this is
include,
tricky.
not included.
I mean, I used to teach a college class on diversity. And obviously it was a few years ago, but diversity is not that different. Some of the language
Diversity is
around it has
diversity.
changed.
Right.
Yeah.
But the attitudinal part, not so much. But so I've done a lot of reading on this. I've run a lot of exercises, some of which I think were pretty good. But there is not, so far at least, any place to say background or training that's not specific to this work.
Yeah. So then maybe we just put a comment as our answer is like, does this have to be associated with conservation?
Yes, or are we just talking about work? Because if we're talking about work, learning, training,
Like-
even
like
teaching
lessons.
on a bunch of these, then, then that's fine. And if we're not, that's okay too. I'm not, but
Yeah.
I'm just, a couple of these have come up and I'm kind of like, I'm gonna bite your lip because that's not really what they're asking,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And again, I apologize that I haven't been able to hash out more of these meetings. All right, we formally debrief lessons learned in DEI related trainings. Example, post-training meeting to share ideas of how to implement learnings, allowing for anonymous suggestions of next steps given learnings.
Why is this not a scale?
This
Yeah.
is tricky too,
It's like-
because. Yeah, and we haven't put on the trainings ourselves. We've taken advantage of training opportunities put on by NRCD, NRCS, whoever. So
I can't
like,
remember if there's been something at NACD. I know they have been working on it.
But we could have gotten together afterwards or at the next meeting and said, let's spend 10 minutes talking about what was covered.
But like Heather and I will talk about
Yeah.
those 21 day things.
Yeah.
But I don't go like, hey, Heather, the NRCS training, because you can take them within a window. So like Heather might take it 30 days after me.
Right.
I don't know that.
But I also feel which again, we shouldn't structure ourselves for how small we are right now because we are growing. But like as of right now, we are small and I feel like we do have conversations naturally. None of us are like, let's formally talk about that training. But it's just like, hey, like I had this question from Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah, but I think it
Yeah.
sounds like what
Yeah,
they're
a
trying to
formal
talk
meeting.
about is,
Which is
Yeah.
do you
Please
make
do.
it like an
I
item
would
on
just
your,
maybe
Right.
say not formally.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see the comments.
Yeah, neither did I.
I was like, I can't.
We develop concrete steps for how lessons learned from DEI trainings can be integrated into the workplace. No.
Things to think about.
Yeah. What are we doing that's working?
We're doing this assessment.
Yep.
Well, the fact that it's brought up many times in our discussions.
Mhm.
Is there a component here? Have we considered this?
Mhm.
And Linda's been, I think, really good about kind of coming back to that and saying, does this fit somewhere, you know, in this particular issue? And it seems to me that's working because it's getting people to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's something I was thinking of that we're doing that's working besides completing this assessment. Well, we just were talking about potentially having like a speaker at our annual meeting that might.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we talked and included the thought that we need to make our annual meeting accessible to all,
Yeah.
which I'd like to think we would have thought of years ago anyway, but sorry, I didn't mean to.
How's that?
It's better than where your typing was going.
This keyboard is structured differently than the one I use. It's a portable keyboard and you can't do it.
I'm sorry. It just. I had
A lot better than I would have done.
It was just that moment of where is he going with that?
Well. Yeah, anyway,
The minutes before the real minutes, so don't worry.
okay.
All right, for what barriers and challenges are we facing? I think just knowing where to find these trainings, like I wish,
Access to
Mhm.
trainings.
yeah, like there was, I'm sure they
Speaking
exist
of
somewhere.
access.
Mhm.
Yeah, but like a catalog, like whether
and
NRCS
again,
has it or.
If these are just categories of training as opposed to trainings.
Right,
That would be helpful to know about.
yeah,
I would say the other barrier or challenge we face is time.
yes,
Right.
yes,
You know,
100%.
that
Ability to get together, you know, because I think a lot of these trainings, it would be helpful. Well, if we're supposed to debrief after,
Right,
it would be helpful to do them.
training,
At the
debrief
tank.
meeting,
Right.
yeah, that's up.
It's a lack of organization of capacity. I.e., like, we don't have a human resources director
Yeah.
who, this would be their, this
Yeah.
would be a chunk of their
Right.
job, right?
Mhm.
Do you guys go over these in a meeting or what's happening to all this data we're giving?
Oh, ideally, we will collect all of this and go over the answers and then adjust the survey and then create trainings or create deliverables.
That's the stuff I think we're all very excited to. Okay.
Yep. We could, who could we collaborate with in this process to further develop our efforts? I think we mentioned last time or another time, oh, there's a local community, what are they called?
Lost River.
Lost River, yes, thank you. And they are a group that does diversity work. I don't know the proper title.
They're like the Roots Social Justice
Yeah.
Center for
White.
people who are, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it an organization?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, how do you support Lost River racial justice?
It works directly with white people. Is that what we want to say?
No.
People,
Well, okay, it's dedicated to small town and rural multiracial organizing to dismantle white supremacy and transfer of power.
yeah. How about?
You don't have to write
what's
that,
Lost River, what is their name again?
Racial justice.
Racial Justice. See their website.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
Yeah.
Local the Beneke Group.
Mhm.
I don't know, is there a local accessibility coordinator or person like for any of the towns?
Oh, Winston Prouty. They've got it, right? Or like just Winston Prouty in general?
Yeah, maybe Winston Prouty would be worth talking to.
We also, in our building, we have a large deaf community or
Really?
yeah, they work for the state, I believe.
Austin School or not?
I think maybe it's a branch of the Austin School.
It's Austin.
Did you
Okay,
find that?
you got it right.
No, the fire drill.
You're fine, whether the little red line comes or not.
I had forgotten about the fire drill. That was a rough day.
That was a funny day.
That was the day we had to process that mountain of gift cards and I was like running around like I was on
The
fire.
day before you were about to leave.
Yeah, and then I got to the office and you're all standing around in the parking lot because we're having a fire drill. I was like, oh.
And we were told we didn't have to follow the fire drill, but the fire alarm would be going off.
Yeah, I was like, no, I think we need to follow the fire drill.
All right, how can we implement changes into our work to progress further in this area?
Well, I suppose the work plans we just approved could have included this.
Mhm.
It didn't.
fair.
Well, it did include Heather's work in it,
Yeah.
Yes, it
that's
did.
True.
so,
I haven't had attention in 2 minutes.
All right.
I don't have anything I want to upload. Anybody else?
I think we had two. All right, go
Oh,
team.
we gotta
That was it.
go us.
Yeah.
A lot of work to do
Yes.
and a lot of other work to do.
Yeah, and we do our DEI meeting got rescheduled for next week, so hopefully next board meeting, I'll have a bit more direction.
Great.
As for next steps. But thank you all.
You
You.
Thanks, Heather.
keeping us on our toes. Okay. District managers report. Questions, concerns, thoughts, congratulations, condolences.
Love the picture.
A balance of 97,000.
That was one of my questions.
Right?
how did that
You should
happen?
know that chapter of the treasurer.
No, I did. I mean,
Just
Just wanted to highlight it.
yes.
So I had, like I said, I actually read it
Nice.
this afternoon. Just, I think this was to do with your work plans and stuff. And I used Isabel as an example. The question is like, are there projects? Are there times that the same project or work applies to two funders? Like Isabel has DEC grant and aid, AIS greeter, AISN greeter. And then it says report number of hours and number of rosettes removed to DEC and CRC. Do I assume, are they joint
DCC
funders or?
Oh, DEC funds us, CRC doesn't, but they
They're
match
contributing
our
match,
time.
right?
Okay, so it's not like,
It's not a requirement, but it's basically like, I want to keep that relationship good, so they will send us people.
but
so
I
can get help.
wasn't sure if both CRC and DEC were helping to fund this jointly and somehow you were counting the same work.
No, we know we can't double count. I think we're all pretty clear on
Yes.
that. Heather's position and the new ARS will both, I think you have the most overlap in that you could sort of bill what you do to any one of 4 different agreements.
Mhm.
And so you have to try to pick and choose what makes the most sense to bill it to, but you can only bill it to one at a time.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I wasn't in any way, shape or form implying any.
No, that's a good
double
question.
dipping.
And
I see how it's confusing too.
I just had a thought. Aren't you running a workshop on decolonizing your garden?
Sure am.
Shouldn't that have been
You're right.
mentioned in the?
It's something we're doing. So we'll get to that part.
That got siloed into
Can
a different part of your
can we
brain.
stick that in somewhere?
I'll mention it next week. Yeah.
Yeah,
D
okay.
what?
Decolonizing your garden. We're working with Giant Journey Farm. There's the Beneke Land Link project, which is landowners or land stewards can get Abenaki seeds. And you grow them on your land, and then you bring the produce back. It takes place around Burlington. And then they disperse the food grown to the Abenaki community
I
throughout the
think you
state.
mentioned.
Yeah, so it's just, unfortunately, that's why I was in communication with Rich and the other chief. Sarah and I are going forward cautiously because neither of us are of Native descent, and we don't want people thinking that we're here to represent that at all. We're just talking about Giant Journey's experience and trying to give this program awareness.
Which is totally cool, and we should
Yeah.
make sure it gets in.
Yeah,
'cause
because we
it's
are
a-
sending out.
Decolonized. I was trying to think of
Yeah, like
bees
plants,
or.
Oh.
what you were-
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
sorry, got it. See, I've learned something. The term wouldn't have meant the same thing. Obviously,
Yep.
still isn't the first meaning that jumps into my head, but.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions? Because I still have a bunch, but I don't want to hog the mic. Okay, board meetings with growing number attending meetings and increased, it seems to me, focus on open meeting law. Is there any thought we need to find a more accessible meeting space? We tried it before, I know, and I can't remember why that didn't pan out, and it's lovely meeting here, but I don't think it would be considered the most accessible, so I don't know. I mean, they can attend by Zoom. But
I mean, legally, they can show up, like, we require, like, you'd have to let a member of the public. join this meeting in
and it
person if
is
they wanted to.
in our advertising or our posting on our website and stuff that it's here and
Yeah.
everything, right? Okay.
Yep, and there's, it
Just-
says to email the district too for directions.
I'm trying to
We
make
indeed
sure
have
that we're-
had, what's his name, David,
Yep,
who actually came up,
and Kat.
and Kat came.
Kat, you gotta say something once in a while. We're gonna fall asleep and forget you there. Except now I see you, right? You're
I'm still
square.
here.
Okay.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings on that. I think, like, yes, I think an organization such as ours should probably meet in some sort of a much more like clearly public space. But we did it once before. I would want people to actually come.
Yeah,
Or it would
right.
seem like we would be giving up something, like, meetings are nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
plus,
Well, and it's hard to find a place that.
Yeah, it takes a
I
lot of our
don't
time. to
think it's
find.
necessarily the best use of money if we have to
Yeah.
rent a place.
Right.
Especially since we have, I mean, we have welcomed people when they've come.
Yep.
We're happy to have them do that. I mean, Jeff has done that. People are happy, we have stuff at my place. If we knew we were having a bunch of people, we could move something to the office or whatever, but
Yep.
I think the library is free.
It is, the only issue is,
booked a lot.
yeah, the reason the Basin Planning thing is happening at 4:30 is because every single night was booked.
All right.
They have so many recurring things in there.
Yeah.
I like that space too.
Yeah.
actually.
Oh, it's a great space, but
Somewhere in your report, you mentioned Ellis, I think. You said something that I have written here, the question, Ellis Brook dead? Question mark, or on hold?
On hold.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because-
The grant is gonna be
Cause
closed.
I saw on the budget
Budget, yeah.
that it
It's-
said on hold, but somewhere else it almost more sounded like it was gone.
The grant's dead because that grant, the parent agreement is over at the end of this calendar year. So there's no way to satisfy that. So we're just working on getting that closed out, paying out any expenses that we have and getting paid for those. I need to schedule a visit with the son, the landowner, who is the landowner we
Right.
know. I'm trying to figure out, and I'm just a little bit reticent at how many hours have been spent on this already and not wanting to go too far, because none of that would be fun. I have no funding
mhm.
for me to spend
Thanks,
hours and hours and hours.
Night, Cat.
Night.
Okay.
I didn't mean to kick you away.
Thank you.
Thanks for your interest.
But at the same time, I think there'll be some pressure from DEC to see us. And at this point, they've also quite a bit of money into this. They'd like to see the berm come out.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
we'll try.
I don't know if I want to use that.
The bats are flying around as well.
Oh, yeah, typo, top of page 15, it's
Uh-uh.
Vermont Arts Council, not council.
Ah,
Yes, and one place you left the R off the end of Heather, and I mean, but
I thought,
I
I
was
was like,
just-
geez, wow.
you know.
That one. And
readers.
just financials, I just, same like Jeff, noted the big jump in our balance.
Yep. So, in some ways, I prioritized invoicing a lot in May because last year summer was a lean and somewhat scary time. So I made a major emphasis on that.
Mhm.
Also, NRCC paid our core services first invoice, which is $20,000. This is like a world record turnaround time. Yeah. And that's great because it makes a huge difference, I think, for some of us districts who don't have deep pockets. It's been
Yeah.
hard in the past because when some of us bring it up in meetings, there are other districts who are sitting on a couple $100,000 in the bank and they're like, what's the big problem?
Yeah.
Like, well, we hope to be there too, but we're not there now.
Right.
There's like not one bat, there's.
Seems like a
That
very
was a
point,
bird.
I was gonna say, that seemed like
I
a
was like,
very
that was a
pointed
bird.
winged.
Was that a bird?
No, there's two
That
over
was a
here.
bird, but there was a bat.
I wonder what that was.
Something.
It had
winged.
too long a tail to be a bat. We don't have. one.
Okay.
That's
And yeah, this was basin planning. You said, I
Nighthawk.
think that the Q4 invoice was not paid,
Correct. They need,
so that's
that's
not
the one-
council.
it is council, but it's all 14 districts have to be, that's the one that closes out the full year. And so they're pickier about all the deliverables that are being done or addressed by moving them into next year. Like basically DEC doesn't just want to pay it and, you know, if people didn't do the things they said they do. And I just know the update we got from NRCC was that they're waiting for all 14 districts to have checked that box. So.
Okay. Just a couple more. Wilmington buyout, what happens to this or other properties if this goes through? Like what do you do with the, or what
So.
is done with the property? Is it,
This will be my first time going through a buyout. Typically they become property of the town. The state's gonna have pretty strong stipulations on what they are allowed to do with the land because of course taxpayer money was used to buy it out for very specific purposes. So they can't do anything that's gonna impede those purposes.
can't put a bunch of condominiums or
Correct.
anything on.
They are talking about like, the town of Wilmington wants to put their town hall up at that site, not in the floodplain. So
Say like,
this funding source.
they're
won't-
already in a floodplain. but-
Exactly. So this funding source won't pay for that. So the town might put in a bunch of their own money, paired with that money to buy the whole thing. And then some of it the town will use for a town hall.
Mhm.
And there's also talk about like acceptable uses, like there could be a park, green space that people can recreate in. That's an allowable use in the floodplain.
Yeah, and it has only modest infrastructure. So that if you wash away a few picnic tables, you know, it's not like losing the town hall.
I met with Scott today just for a minute at the end of a site visit to chat about this. Scott Tucker, the town manager. And he's gonna follow up with the landowner again. He's a little reticent just because they went down this road once a couple years ago and it fell through because the landowner changed his mind at the last minute. And he was like, no, I'm gonna sell it. So now he's back and he wants to sell it again, and that's great. But there's a risk to spending a lot of money and time on this and having him pull the rug out from under you again. But this is a really unique funding opportunity. We're being told this will be the last time they come down with something that provides 100% of the buyout value as opposed to just a portion, and that it will be at pre-flood values. So that's a pretty special opportunity for a
Wow.
landowner to get
Yeah,
out of there and cut their losses.
and there are so many things they could, you know, they could do a dog park, they could do a, I mean, there's all kinds
Say
of.
dog
for a
park?
dog.
Dog park, yeah.
Assume that's something at Peters. Harmony Lot Celebration, I won't be there.
Okay.
Is my anniversary.
But have you seen
Well,
it?
special day.
It's so cool.
It's so
The picture.
amazing.
I told Abby she should check it out.
Yeah.
She was very excited about it.
We're trying to make it a Pokestop, or Barry is trying to make it a Pokestop, so if anyone out there
Aw.
on Pokemon, go, I think that's, I
cool.
clearly know the
What about
verbiage.
Pokemon?
There's a game that you can make certain areas, sort of like a point of interest. So when you play the game, you like walk around and you try to go certain places, and I'm trying to get it there.
Huh.
And then I'll have a description about the project and all that.
That's a great idea.
I had no idea you could do that.
My grandson
You have to
likes
be a
Pokemon.
certain level.
Well, there
of
was-
Which Barry.
There was one in
Nice.
our office one day,
Connected.
because one day Emma was like wandering around outside the
Oh,
door, and I
that
was like,
happens a
can I help you? She's like, oh, there's a Pokemon over here.
That's
Okay,
great.
top of 18 farm teams meeting. Who decides who covers what part of Ottaquechee for ag things? And I don't want to bring up
Well, we have an agreement, well, here's what I'll say. I don't think we have anything in writing. We have a verbal agreement that, basically that the northern half of Ottaquiche is. Sorry, the southern half of Ottaquiche is our responsibility. Our most recent Ag CWIP, which was a big bump in funding, part of the reason we were able to get so much more money was by saying, we've always been sort of supposed to do this, but we really had, like, we've responded to requests for assistance. There have been very few. We're saying, hey, we're gonna get real about doing this because these farms actually do need assistance and Ottaquiche isn't capable yet. My perspective is that Ottaquiche should become capable and they now are on board. Like you recall, the Ottaquiche board used to say, we don't do ag.
Right.
They've changed their tune. They recognize that that's an important role for the conservation district, and Kelly, the district manager.
Just trying to
is-
get up to speed and stuff.
So she has funding in her Ag Soup agreement to basically come on a lot of these visits and go to these farm team meetings and get trained up.
Okay.
And my thinking would be that when this 4-year agreement is up, that we would not provide service, not broad outreach education assistance. We might still provide specialized, like, for example, like we have certified planners, or we will. It might make sense for us to still serve that role.
Yeah.
Where another district that's smaller might not want to get into that game. Similarly, another district to the north has grazing specialists, or has had,
Has
still has.
currently.
Okay, so like that, I think that model might make a lot of sense, that some districts have specialists that can do services in that way. Now, that was a really long answer to say that
Yep.
it's,
There's a list of towns.
yeah. It's on our website now too.
It is.
End of my questions for that. So, good on district manager? And to my awareness, we do not have the minutes.
Nope.
Okay. So that's,
She sent them out. I saw some.
You saw minutes?
Yeah, I thought she sent them out soon after the meeting.
There's an email the other day where she said, I hope to get them to you by Thursday.
Oh,
Um,
well, something I called themselves the June minutes.
yeah. There was one that, Heather, did you take them?
Yes,
July.
yes.
There was one meeting where 2 people took meeting minutes.
Yeah, that was
was-
July.
yeah.
I thought,
No, that was June.
That was June.
That was June.
and I
Yeah.
presented those at the last meeting, but we said they're not complete because Katie had her own minutes that needed to be combined with them. And so we have decided at the last meeting that, hey, let's wait till we can review.
okay,
Well,
The
That's
combined
what
set?
that's,
Yeah,
That makes sense.
all right.
I know I am a little bit bummed, but we're getting this far behind because for one, we're not complying with the meeting law, which says we have to post the minutes within 48 hours. The draft
10
minutes.
days. But yeah, I guess you're right.
This you gotta be fast. I've got 2 kayaks coming up. Gotta do this fast.
Mine have never been.
Well, and
working.
you can just send me like the really rough draft and that complies with the requirement.
People love this really rough
know.
draft of me
Rough
trying to
draft
remember
person.
words and
Yeah,
it was
notes to
great.
myself. Yeah.
Yeah,
As a
like,
writing
make
notes.
sure to look up this
Yeah.
person.
Well, I
All
think
people's
the,
names.
the key thing would
Literally.
be if there are any votes,
Yeah.
those would be
Which-
the key things,
Does
which
that
we've
include
had,
those-
we've had an
the-
acceptance of the
Yeah.
budget, the revised budget. I
That's
believe
fair.
that's the only action item
It's the only one I have.
that we've had, so. You know, you could just do a very brief run through the agenda and put, discuss this, did this, voted on this, and not do as much of the.
And
verbatim.
label it draft and move on.
I mean, again, in my experience, technically, that's about all that's what needs to be in minutes is, action items. And a
Oh.
brief, whatever, of the other agenda items.
It doesn't make the minutes helpful for us. But it is sort of the legitimate, most modest version that is legit.
When
Yeah.
I was on the school board, we had a secretary or clerk, I don't remember what they were called at the time, who would get into, he said, she said,
Oh. no.
she said, and that kind of stuff, and that actually, you don't want any minutes because you could be misquoting, and then that gets out in the public and then could stir somebody up over something that you maybe didn't accurately report the person, not you, the royal or whatever.
Yeah, I put all the stuff in here that you said.
It's also recorded, so. Which I have written at the top of my agenda, recorded. Okay. So we'll skip that for now and try to get a little more on task with that. I know Katie was away some and. Okay, a next meeting date. September 4th, 2024.
which is very soon, just because this one was late.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Good
also,
For the hiring.
it's also though not a regular night. Was there a reason for
I
that?
thought it's the first Wednesday of the month.
Second,
Oh, then it should be the 11th. I definitely thought it was the first.
at least that's what pops up on my calendar.
Okay. No, then it should be the 11th.
Okay. I'll change it back.
Those would not be good for me, and it's quite likely that no date will be good for me. Because my performances are the second and third weekends of the month, so, well, actually, I suppose between the two performances, what's when the week starts on the 16th, does it?
Yep.
Yeah, so
Um,
the 18th would be
I
the
could-
Wednesday.
I could probably do a date, 16, 17, or 18.
How
Or
about
even
the
19.
18th?
Let me check
It's a
my
partial
calendar.
lunar eclipse. I don't know why that's on my calendar,
What
but it
time that
is.
happens? Are we gonna be out here for it?
Oh, that'd be cool.
I am not gonna be sitting on this deck next month, I don't think. Well, you never know. We've had
It
time.
might be warmer than it is right now.
Right. Yeah, we're getting some early fall.
The 18th works for me.
8:39 p.m.
Works for me.
Okay.
18.
Wait a minute. My phone had to start.
But we need to see the eclipse on.
What is this, September? What is that?
18th.
September 18th, Wednesday. No, it's not yet.
Wow,
Very soon.
I would not be able to do that. I am actually going on a bus tour.
Oh.
NRCS and everybody else.
Tour.
And Franklin County and
Oh.
Orleans or somewhere up there, NRCS and BACD and I was invited to join.
You're also allowed to go if you want.
What about the 19th?
Why did you
Is
get
that the
invited
Thursday?
to?
Everyone is, yes.
That's a Thursday.
You made me think I was special.
Maybe not, you're right. Maybe seats are limited.
Peter, could you do the 19th, the Thursday?
I think so. Let me just check back here. Yep, that works.
Work for you, Linda?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that
That's like
then.
it's. Peter, are you in California?
No, I'm at home.
Thought maybe you were hearing grandchildren.
You are.
Great.
That's in part why I'm here.
Ah. Okay, I will get that sorted out later.
So that came out being the 19th.
Yes. All right, okay, I'm just gonna do a brief mention, as I said. I received, I believe, all of you received a letter from White River District, Conservation District. It's my understanding that this has gone out very widespread.
You did it right.
Yesterday.
Did you?
Oh, that
Tuesday.
was in the mail.
Just before, I got it yesterday, just before I opened it or read it just yesterday,
Oh, you're
I
right,
believe,
21.
before I started milking.
Okay, I don't think I've gotten this.
I didn't know I did.
Or if it just went to board chairs.
I was
No, I
told
got it.
Oh, Peter, got it.
supervisors.
Okay.
Okay,
So, yeah, it came yesterday. It's from, I believe
I'll look
the
again.
subject is Jennifer.
I did not see it, but I will look again.
Anyway, think it would be good for you to read it, and I can forward it to you
Please do, just in case.
too, if you,
I can do it right now.
okay. It's, just a letter stating some of their concerns with how things are going with VACD and NRCC and stuff. So I just wanted to make sure all of you had received it.
Nope.
I just forwarded it to both of you.
Thank you.
Don't really know where it will go or what will happen.
Was this
with
in
it, but
response to the letter we had sent them a while back?
No,
or-
No,
not directly.
no.
Okay,
They
Sure,
have,
related.
so just some of the The NRCC, our Democratic Inter-District Institution, they talk about some of the concerns they have about how NRCC is operating. I would just sum it that way. Funding allocations and decision-making to do with how VACD has been operating for the past however many years without following our bylaws. Collaborative and independent advocacy is another title. Not entirely sure whether after everyone's read it, we should send a response of any kind or how it would progress, but.
Is he suggesting that we change our way of doing things at all?
Suggesting that VACD change its way of doing things
Yep.
quite a bit. They're threatening to withhold their dues.
Sorry?
White River's threatening to withhold their dues
If,
if certain changes are.
So.
Yeah.
More than that,
We will read.
Right.
won't say. I will say, because it's in this letter, although I don't know how this works because it's a letter within districts and stuff, so I don't really know whether the contents are meant to be public.
I think they automatically are, aren't they? If they were.
Yeah, they said it was a public letter.
Okay,
And if it's-
then I will just say they've called I will say directly into question specifically, I would say Jill's and my actions on some things.
Okay.
And definitely how, like I said, VACD has been operating. I think in my mind, to some extent, some of this comes from a misunderstanding of the difference between like districts ourselves as government entities and how an association operates. And that may just be a matter of clarification on that, or learning for myself. But Jill has worked, on multiple nonprofits, and I feel has a good handle on how associations should work or can work if they don't have supervisors participating enough to do things and stuff like that. So I think that's enough for me to say.
So how do we take this forward? Obviously, we've got to read it, but what happens? Are we going to pick it up next board meeting or what?
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't think that they're looking for action from districts. I think they're looking for action from VACD and council, and they just want all of you to be aware of their thoughts.
I guess my thought is if other districts feel like their suggestions are not in line with their particular views, I don't know if there's an argument to be made that it might be valuable to voice it. Because if there's one voice in the room and it's very loud and everyone else is quiet, creates the illusion of agreement with that voice.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Silence
yes, I
implies
guess-
So
consent
we
and
might-
whatnot.
We might decide that we want to send a response. Perhaps if we decide we don't agree with it, we should tell them we don't agree.
Yep. I think that's something we could do.
Yes.
I don't think tonight is probably the time to try to get into this, and I don't know how fast. I mean, I don't believe anything can happen in a hurry unless it were, they have some questions about the budget and things like that.
You have a friend.
I do, don't want to kill it, but
You'd like
don't
it to
necessarily
go.
need it on my nose. Anyway, I think there might be an item or two in here that there could be some clarification, on things coming from Jill or VACD executive committee, but that moth made me lose my train of thought. I don't think there's anything they're looking for to happen, or they may be looking for it to happen immediately, but I don't believe it's feasible for there to be much action on this in any kind of immediate timeframe.
And there is
From
nothing-
VACD trying to address these issues.
And there is
That's-
nothing in there that they're saying, and we'd like all the rest of you to do so and such. There's no request for specific action.
Not from the supervisors or,
So then we can take the time to,
And VACD's budget was approved at the board meeting. I mean, I know it was contentious, but it passed 8-2. So like for the moment, none of these changes are gonna happen in the next fiscal year because VACD is now operating on that budget, right?
that would be my take.
Because a lot of what they're asking for are like budgetary changes to like what VACD does, what agreements they enter into, what work they take on, what staff they hire.
Good summary. Yep. Okay, just wanted to, like I said, make sure you'd all received it and were aware.
which is good you asked, because some of us had not.
Yep. And it's not long, it's like 4 pages. There is a lot of content in it.
But it's not like Corey's reports.
No, much more concise.
It's not 30 pages.
Perhaps less
Um,
productive.
okay, next on the agenda. I'm trying to, if I haven't missed anything, is an executive session for personnel matters. So if someone would like to make a motion to go into executive session and you
So move.
two could stay for a few minutes if you would like. And then. All those in favor at executive session at
8:21.
8:21,
Oh, look at that.
say aye.
Aye.
6 minutes behind schedule.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so we stop recording.